Hey guys, it's Brew Mike here. Last week I shot a video of putting the taps, the faucets, on the front of my old fridge to make a new kegerator. This week I'm going to show you how I finished off the inside, how the kegs all fit in there, how the gas manifold fits in there, just show you the features of what it takes to finish it off inside. So I'll grab the camera, we'll take a closer look at the kegerator, and at the end hopefully we'll successfully pour. Okay, here we go. So here's the taps in the drip tray that I put on last week. I have the tube underneath it to catch the foam and stuff. Usually I put a bucket down there with some sanitizer in it when I'm actually in a drinking session or entertaining people. Otherwise I put those little cups under there just to catch the drips when I'm not using it or after I pour a beer. I find it's easier just to do it that way than have to clean up the inside of the drip tray every time I get a little foam or something caught in there. So I mounted this dry erase board on the front of the fridge. Those are the 4 beers I have in there right now. I also, probably just for kicks, I might write on there OG, IBUs, alcohol. Haven't really decided yet, but I started to put that up there. This board's held on there with just some little velcro squares. There's one right there, you can see it right there. So I can take it off if I want to. I also took the dry erase marker and I put a piece of magnetic tape on the back so I can put that up there and not lose it. So that's pretty cool. Got a couple markers there, and I labeled the taps 1, 2, 3, 4 in case it's not obvious, left to right. So let's show you the insides and take the tour of the inside of the kegerator. So right now I've only got 2 of the draft lines hooked up, the stout and the lager. So tap faucet 1 and 2. You can see already it kind of turns into a spaghetti of tubing. Inside I've already got all the gas hooked up to the 4 kegs. I actually have room in here for 6 kegs. If I took the cylinder out, I could easily store 6 kegs in here, but I'd have to put the cylinder outside the fridge. I might put a hole in the side and run the tubing through there just to do that. But you'll see with my gas manifold in a minute that will be a bit of a problem to get a 6th keg sitting in there. But I've got 4 faucets, so I've got 4 kegs in there right now. And way in the back corner, there's a 5th keg not hooked up to anything. So I am actually storing an extra keg, or I can condition a recently fermented beer in the back of that fridge. So let's back out a little bit. So you see I still have my shelf for all these beers, and I still got a little bit of room up here, but I'll probably just try to jam all those tubings in there, maybe zip tie them up or something, make it easier to handle. So I took the shelves and the drawers out of the bottom, and I put this piece of plywood in there. The cool thing about this is that the fridge actually had some ridges down there. See that? That's pretty cool. Last time I did this, I didn't have that. And I actually had to build some uprights, some feet right there to hold it up. But this fit perfectly in there, so I just cut a piece of plywood to fit the bottom. You know, so the question is, why do that? Why not leave the normal fridge bottom in there? By doing that, it actually, you'd be surprised, the actual fridge shelf sits up like an inch or 2 higher than that. So by putting a piece of plywood in there, it actually gives me just that much more clearance up top here. I can actually reach in back there if I have to, and there's just enough room in there to get my hand in here and disconnect one of these without actually having to pull the whole keg out. Before I put the bottom shelf in there, even just with a couple kegs in there, I was having to tilt the kegs all the way forward to undo the connector, so I find this is a much better option. Like I said, I got my cylinder in there. You want to have your cylinder close to the front if you are going to store it in there, because you got easy access to the regulator if you want to change the pressure, and the all-important shut-off valve. I find at night, once I know that the beers are all carbonated, I like to shut this off just in case there's a leak. I don't bleed the whole tank out. So you've seen this before. There's my 4-way gas manifold. Right now I'm working on equalizing the pressure on all the kegs and carbonating, so you can see they're all in the open position. That's off, this is on. And I just have it mounted up here on a couple screws, but you can see it's actually kind of it'll slip right off of there if I want, and I can take it off and regain my portability. So it's all hooked up right now. The beers are nicely carbonated. I'm ready to pour. Like I said, I only have 2 draft lines hooked up so far. I'll hook up the other 2, numbers 3 and 4, this weekend, but I'm really focused more right now on getting the beers carbonated and settled, and just staying nice and quiet. So any of the sediment in there is settling to the bottom. That'll come out in the first couple pours. So I think that's a wrap on the inside of this thing. Like I said, the most important thing is kind of having access, so I really like having that extra couple 2 inches. But you can see immediately, once I hook up 4 more beverage lines and I have all 4 gas lines, it becomes an octopus, if you will, of tubing, and it can be a real nightmare to drag kegs in and out of there. It's kind of why I prefer the chest freezer. I know someone was asking me that question. So this definitely works. It's compact, it's tight, but here I am with the door open and all the cold air is just spilling out of here. If this was a chest freezer, all that cold air would largely stay inside. So, alright, let's back out of here and take one more look at the outside, and then I think it's time to pour a beer. Hey, alright, so that's the finished project. Inside looks good. Some finishing touches. Next time I have the kegs out, I might take that wooden shelf out, put some polyurethane on there, or do something to seal it up just to keep it from getting stained or getting too wet, or if you get beer on there, it'll get sticky, or it'll might help encourage mold to grow in there. So, but I got 5 full kegs in there right now. I don't want to pull the kegs out again. I want to close the door, get it to cool down. I still got some carbonating to do. A couple of those beers aren't 100% carbonated yet. They're easy drinking right now, but they need a couple more days. So I use the set it and forget it method. As you can tell, it gets a little bit hectic in there with all the tubing, but realistically with an upright fridge like this, once you get it all set up and you get confident in the way the lines are set up and your regulator and your manifold, you get full kegs in there, you should really never have to open the door, you're good to go. So it's a pretty good project, pretty easy to do. Really, I was just using power tools for that one board, cutting the board. So, but aside from that, it's Wednesday night, running out of time. Want to get this video up before Wednesday's over, so I think I'm going to pour myself a beer and get inside and edit this video. So, pour myself a little of this red lager. Pours nice. It just needs a little more carbonation, get a little foam on there. But it's pretty good. Look at that. Nice color, nice and red. So, you know, if you don't have a Kegorator yet, you want to get into it, definitely dive into it. You can get upright used fridges like this pretty cheap on Craigslist or from a neighbor or wherever you can find one. So, I highly recommend it, and you can pour fresh beer yourself. So, I'm going to enjoy this one. Cheers.